a millionaire tried to humiliate me at the piano, but my unexpected talent left him speechless. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started with laughter, the kind that echoes through a lavish ballroom, rich with gold and velvet. Everyone wore their best masks, pretending to be perfect, but I felt out of place, like a swan in a sea of peacocks. My little fingers trembled on the keys, heart racing as I looked at the crowd. They were glamorous, flitting around like butterflies. But then, there he was, David Hawthorne, a millionaire with a smirk sharp enough to cut glass. He leaned against the piano as if daring me to play. "You think you can impress anyone here?" he scoffed, a cruel smile sliding across his lips. My chest tightened. Everyone turned to watch. The whispers buzzed around me, like angry bees. Did they believe him? Did they think I didn't belong? I inhaled deep, tasting the tension in the air. It was like biting into a sour lemon. David tossed his head back, just a little too dramatically, his eyes glinting with arrogance. "Go on, play for us." "I'd hate to see you waste your talent," my brain screamed for me to run. To hide. But something else stirred. An ember of indignation ignited. With shaky hands, I pressed down on the keys. The soft notes filled the room, sweet and melancholy, stirring up memories I thought I buried. My mother's laughter, the smell of her lavender perfume, the way she wrapped her arms around me when I played for her. But as the melody flowed, the energy in the room shifted. Gasps replaced the laughter. The audience leaned in, curiosity flickering in their eyes. David's smirk faded, replaced by shock. I poured my heart into every note, raw and vulnerable. The clack of heels and hushed murmurs, everyone was spellbound. Tears stung my eyes, and I kept playing, fingers moving with a fierce determination I didn't know I had. The chords became my lifeline, connecting me to the past I'd been running from. Every beat resonated in my chest, heavy, alive. I could feel the electricity in the air, crackling like summer lightning. I could see David's expression morph from disdain to disbelief. His followers, the pack of wealthy wolves, watched with mouths agape. Were they seeing me? Did they hear the pain behind my music? Then, suddenly, the last note hung in the air, a beautiful pause. Silence swept across the room like a heavy fog. My heart was racing, but all I could hear was my breath. I opened my eyes, staring directly at David. His face was blank, stripped of all arrogance. But just as the moments of triumph teased me, the main doors swung open with a clatter. A figure dressed in shadows stepped in, a stranger, eyes intense, locking onto me. Something about their presence felt electrifying and daunting. The atmosphere shifted again. "You shouldn't have come here," they whispered urgently, breaking the spell. What did it mean? Who were they? Just as adrenaline pulsed through my veins, questions raced along with it. That one moment, when everything seemed perfect, dissolved like smoke in the air. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The echo of my last note hung in the air, a bittersweet reminder of the moment I had managed to seize for myself. But the stranger's presence, a shadow in the ballroom, yanked me painfully from my reverie. I could feel a rush of eyes, curious and bewildered, lingering on me, but I couldn't tear my gaze away from the new arrival. Their voice, soft yet urgent, sliced through the murmur of the crowd. "You shouldn't have come here," the words wrapped around me like a chilling mist, sending shivers down my spine. I opened my mouth to respond, but only silence spilled out. A knot of uncertainty twisted painfully in my stomach as I glanced at David, whose earlier bravado was gone, replaced by an unsettling expression of realization. "Is everything all right?" he asked, an edge of concern creeping into his tone. It caught me off guard, this was the same man who had reveled in my discomfort only moments before. The stranger lifted their chin, eyes narrowing as if weighing my choice to engage with him. "You need to leave. Now." My heart raced. Who was this person, and why did they care? Before I could ponder too long, I felt their gaze shift, recalibrating as they surveyed the room. "Who are you?" I managed to croak, nerves dancing in my throat. "Someone who knows the danger lurking beneath the facade of this place," they answered, voice low yet firm. "You think you've captured their attention, but you've also captured something else, something dark." A chill spiraled through me as I recalled the layers of laughter, wealth, and pretension that cloaked the ballroom. David's confounded expression softened slightly, but I barely registered it, my mind drowned in confusion. The stranger stepped closer to me, creating a pocket of stillness amid the bustling chaos. "You have a gift," they said, their voice softening, "but I fear it has put you in the crosshairs of those who do not appreciate beauty for what it is." Before I could respond, the crowd began to murmur again, a ripple of anxiety washing over the once celebratory atmosphere. People shifted uncomfortably, and I felt the weight of their gaze like a physical force, probing and prying. Someone in the back shouted, "Get out of here!" I stole a glance at David. He stood frozen, shock entwined with something else, perhaps fear or regret. My heart wrenched. Wasn't this the moment I had hoped for, the moment where I turned the tables? But now the joy swirled in a whirlwind of uncertainty, and the lights of the chandelier above felt oppressive and suffocating. The stranger reached for my hand, their grip steady and reassuring. "Come with me. Please." There was an intensity in their eyes that ignited a flicker of trust amidst my turmoil. With one last glance at the audience, at David whose expression was both pained and intrigued, I made my choice. I allowed the stranger to lead me through the crowd, the unyielding stares of high society a reminder that I was still unsteady on my footing. As we slipped out through the grand entrance, I felt a surge of relief but also a sense of loss. I hadn't finished answering the simultaneous questions of my heart and mind. What had I just revealed? And what would it cost me to fully embrace this new chapter of my life? Once outside, the cool night air wrapped around me like a balm, and I breathed deeply, savoring the rush of freedom for just a moment. The stranger began to speak again, their tone urgent. "I need to tell you everything, but it's dangerous. There are people who want to silence you, people connected to him." I followed them into the shadows, the weight of uncertainty coiling around my heart. Suddenly, the stones beneath my feet seemed unsteady, like the precarious balance of my own life. I had no idea what lay ahead, but for the first time in a long while, I felt a wave of something akin to hope. Just as I opened my mouth to demand more, the sound of a car engine roared nearby, and headlights flickered to illuminate the dim street. I turned, my heart sinking as I recognized the emblem, a black luxury vehicle, David's trademark. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. The stranger's grip tightened around me, and their voice was low yet fierce. "Whatever you do, don't look back." But how could I not, when my world was spiraling so violently out of control? The moment I saw the gleam of David's car, the mixture of disbelief and dread tightened its hold on my chest like a noose. In the fleeting gaze of his headlights, I glimpsed the contours of his face, a blend of confusion and determination that sent panic coursing through my veins. "What does he want?" My voice broke under the pressure of the night's events. The stranger, still holding my hand with an intensity that seemed to lock me in the present, whispered, "Trust me. We can't stay here." A knot twisted further in my stomach. Could I truly trust this persona figure pulled from the shadows who spoke cryptic warnings? But just as the thought crossed my mind, I felt their grip steady me, and somehow that tethering sensation momentarily soothed my spiraling anxiety. The vehicle rolled to a soft stop, and for a split second, my heart tugged me back. I had spent years avoiding this feeling, this intoxicating mix of fear and excitement around David. He was both my anchor and my tempest. Now, he was approaching quickly, and the urgency in my limbs clashed with the desire to confront him, to demand answers. "Don't look back," my companion urged again, nudging me forward just as David reached the curb, his breathless words cutting through the tension. "You don't understand. I need to talk to you," a part of me faltered. I wanted to hear his side, to understand why the man who once uplifted me now felt like a harbinger of my ruin. The stranger pulled again, their voice low and firm. We can't risk it. Has already involved in things you haven't begun to fathom. With every step I took away from David, my heart felt heavier. I longed to whisper back that I could face anything after all. Hadn't I just taken a leap into the unknown? But David's own uncertainty bled through the shadows, his pleading eyes tugging at the last shreds of resolve I clung to. Suddenly, a loud thud rang out behind us, jolting me from my thoughts. An aggressive voice pierced the night, and I knew in my bones that it wasn't over. "Get back here, don't you dare run from me." The urgency in David's tone turned my blood to ice. My heart raced as I turned to face the stranger. "What's he involved in? Who are you?" But the stranger was already sprinting down the narrow alley that opened beside us. "Come on!" they shouted, their voice cutting through the chaos that began claiming my thoughts. As I hesitated, a flicker of movement caught my eye. David was closing the distance, his desperation evident, my pulse pounded in my ears. Between the man I had thought I knew and the stranger who had appeared like a lifeline, I was torn. "Don't come any closer!" I shouted, my voice trembling but firm. "What's happening? He can't help you," the stranger insisted. "Has part of the danger." "Please," the words crashed over me like a wave, dragging under everything I believed. I met David's eyes, and in that split second, I saw the warmth of our shared laughter, but it was colored by the looming darkness surrounding us. Head told me I could shine, but why did the knowledge of his world sour that light? David, who'd been my beacon in a sea of uncertainty, now felt like a frayed ropier companion that could lead me down a path of pain I didn't want to follow. "Take her away from here." David's voice rose in pitch, and his expression twisted into something raw, desperate. "She belongs with me. I won't let you take her." I took a cautious step back, torn between the tug of familiarity and the fraying rope of trust. As I turned to the stranger, they shook their head, their voice urgent and imploring. "We can't stay here. Every moment we linger, the darkness closes in, and it will swallow you whole." David reached out, his eyes pleading. "Please, don't listen to them. You don't know what they're capable of." I felt like a pendulum caught in the extremes of anxiety and hope, swaying in the breeze of his words. It was as if I stood at the base of two mountains, one rising in fear and one shrouded in the unknown. But among those mountains, a chilling intuition puffed softly, a shadow whispering that danger drew near. The stranger's grip on my arm tightened suddenly as a dark figure appeared at the end of the alley, pale and ghost-like under the flickering streetlight. "Let's go," they urged, dragging me toward the shadows. In that moment, a rush of emotion surged through: uncertainty, fear, the thrill of adventure, and the silent summons of danger. I was not ready to relinquish control, not yet. "Wait!" I cried out, standing my ground. "I need to know what's going on." The stranger's eyes bore into mine, filled with something I hadn't seen before, what felt like a silent promise. "If we don't move now, you might never get that chance." Just as I turned back to plead with David for one last answer, a glinting object slipped from the shadows, illuminating the uncertainty surrounding us. A gun. A realization crashed upon my heart, dampening the flickering spark of hope I'd begun to kindle. "Run!" the stranger shouted, propelling me forward as I turned to take one last look at David, a man caught in a web of hidden truths and dark secrets. As the echoes of our recent connection faded to silence, I began racing after the unfamiliar figure, my heart pounding as adrenaline surged. There was no safety in the light, only an uncertain labyrinth waiting to consume me. And somewhere behind, I knew David was watching, caught between shadows that whispered of betrayal and a truth too painful to confront. In the darkness, the question haunted me: what had I stepped into? I could hardly keep pace with the stranger as they led me through the maze of alleyways that split like fractals in a desperate scramble for escape. The pounding sound of my heart harmonized with footsteps behind us, a muted cacophony of dread tightening my throat. Each stride echoed my fear: who was chasing us? What lay ahead? The stranger, whose name I still did not know, finally turned to face me, urgency radiating from their expression. "We need to get somewhere safe. Can you follow me?" Their voice, steady and resolute, gave me a glimmer of hope against the tumult around us. I nodded, a silent pact forged in shared peril. As we sprinted through the shadowed streets, snippets of memories flickered in my mind. Laughter with David, sweet moments of our past that now felt like shards of glass digging deep into my heart. How had everything shifted so rapidly? One moment he was my refuge, and in the next, he was part of a sinister storm gathering around us. Is David part of this? I gasped, breathless as we rounded a corner. Is he in danger too? The stranger paused momentarily, I scanning our vicinity, then replied carefully, if Hez involved with them, yes. You must remember, appearances can be deceiving. Feeling adrift, I wondered if I had ever really known David at all. Each revelation stacked upon the last, and the weight of that uncertainty threatened to collapse me. But it doesn't make sense. He was everything to me. My voice cracked, emotion blurring the lines of clarity. How could he be tied to something dangerous? With a surge of vulnerability, I glanced at the stranger. Can you promise me that you're different? That you're not like him? They stopped, eyes softening for a moment. I'm not your enemy. I'm trying to protect you. But if you want the truth about David, you need to trust me. It's the only way you'll uncover the reality. The sincerity in their voice offered a small balm intently sought. This unexpected kindness, this flicker of hope, tugged gently at the threads of despair freezing around my heart. I searched their eyes, finding a well of something real. And yet, trust was as fragile as glass. One crack could send it shattering into irretrievable pieces. As we resumed moving, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed behind us, a reminder that danger lurked close. Stay low, the stranger whispered, leading me into an abandoned doorway. We're not safe yet. Breathless and trembling, we pressed against the cool wall, hidden in the shadows as figures hurried past, their voices harsh and menacing. He can't get away. We need to find her before it's too late. I couldn't decipher the words fully, but the tone was unmistakably threatening. What do they want with me? I murmured, horror pooling in my stomach. Power, control, the stranger began, but their demeanor shifted as they peered outside. They want to claim you for themselves. You're more vital to them than you realize. A chill ran down my spine. The idea of being sought by a shadowy organization made my insides churn. Why? What do I have that's so important? The truth will come, but not here. They grasped my elbow, stirring me from my spiraling thoughts. The urgency was palpable. David is tangled in this web of power, has drawn to like a moth to a flame. But you are the key. They will do anything to keep you. The thought sat heavy in my chest, tangled with the remnants of affection I still had for David. But what if in losing him? What if Hez gone forever? Hesitating for a moment, there was something almost tender in the stranger's expression. You don't need to lose him if you're willing to fight for the truth. But you must choose your battles wisely. Not everything is as it seems. A flicker of movement erupted at the mouth of the alley, and panic rushed over me. We can't stay here. We need to go. My senses were ablaze, and a sudden urge propelled me forward, trusting this stranger I barely knew. Wait. They halted me, pulling me back. Listen closely. If we can get to my safe house, you may find answers. But you have to promise me one thing. What? I rasped out, desperate. Trust me. No matter what you discover, don't turn away from the truth that's waiting for you. Just as I nodded, the door behind us creaked ominously. The chilled air shifted in response to the sound as shadows materialized, edges sharpened by the overhead flicker of a single light. We know you're in there. A voice bellowed. My heart lunged into my throat as the dawning realization submerged me. David was close, and so were others, people I didn't yet understand. They wouldn't stop. My heart raced with the weight of the unknown. What if Hez among them? I whispered, fear gripping every word. The stranger's gaze bore into mine, resolute yet soft. Whatever happens next, remember why you're fighting. Hold on to that. And with those words echoing in my mind, the door flung open, revealing a spectre I'd never expected to see. David stood there, his expression a mix of anger and desperation that shattered my heart anew. I'm not letting you go, he shouted, panic lacing every syllable. Caught between two worlds, my breath hitched, a tempest of emotion swirling. Shadows loomed, revealing secrets and choices left undone, fracturing the semblance of safety that I so desperately sought to hold on to. Just as the storm erupted, I knew the coming tide would change everything once more. In the split seconds that followed David's entrance, the world around me froze. My heart drummed a frantic beat, teetering on the edge of hope and despair. I searched his eyes for recognition, for a hint of the love we once shared, but found only an intricate web of emotions, confusion tangled with anger, desperation folding into something darker. "David, please," I managed to choke out, drawing closer to the threshold. "I need to understand. Why are you involved in this? What's happening?" But in the depth of urgency, his face hardened, transforming into a mask of someone I barely recognized. "You shouldn't be here," he snapped, voice strained as if the truth bore down on him. "You need to leave, now." With every desperate beat of my heart, I felt the stranger whose name I still didn't know stiffen beside me, a protective presence, both reassuring and terrifying. "We can go with you, David," they urged, a subtle defiance dancing in their voice. "She's not safe with you anymore." David's eyes flicked back to them, narrowing. "You think you're helping her? I'm the only one who can protect her. You have no idea what they're capable of." A chill raced up my spine. The "they" he referenced sent shards of fear coursing through me. It was as if we were caught in a tempest that loomed ominously above us. "David, who are they?" I implored, earnestly seeking the truth that felt like a fragment lost in the chaos of our present. "They're the reason you're in danger. They won't hesitate to use you." His voice grew thick with emotion, and for a moment, I glimpsed the man I loved beneath all the turmoil. With every breath, the foundation of what I thought I knew cracked further. "I was trying to keep you away from all this. Were you keeping me safe?" I asked, my voice wavering between hope and accusation. "Or were you just keeping me blind? Everything feels wrong, David." Nothing is how it was. The tension escalated, thick enough to slice through. "You don't understand," he snarled, gripping the edge of the doorframe. "You can see the bigger picture." "What bigger picture?" "All I see are lies and shadows," I countered, feeling trapped within a suffocating fog. It was unbearable, the weight of uncertainty pressing heavily against my chest. Each locked gaze between us tore at my existence, echoing a haunting truth. The love I once cherished was blurred by darkness. The stranger stepped forward, casting a wary glance towards the shadowy figures still lurking beyond, their shapes growing ever closer. "We need to go now," they insisted with quiet urgency, imploring me to choose. "If you stay, we risk losing everything. Please, I can't just leave him." I shot back instinctively, rooted in that flicker of hope. What if Hes here to help? But doubts nagged at me, whispers of misdirection curling around my thoughts like threads in a fraying tapestry. In an unexpected moment of clarity, David's mask slipped once more, revealing fear, a raw and real emotion. "I am not your enemy," he pleaded, desperation carving lines across his features. "You trust this person? They don't know you, they don't know what they're doing." But something inside me stirred, fighting against the dissonance of my heart. "And you do?" I shot back, glaring. "You dragged me into a world filled with danger without guidance. I don't know who to trust anymore." Everything is a riddle without answers. Before David could respond, the first of the pursuers showed their face, a menacing figure slipping into the alley, the glint of cold steel catching the flicker of the light overhead. "There you are!" they barked, eyes narrowing on me, then shifting to David. "You're wasting our time. Go. Please!" David yelled, the underlying urgency palpable. He stepped forward as if to shield me, and the instinct to collapse back behind him washed over me, but the stranger tugged at my arm, anchoring me to their side. "No!" I cried, a fraying thread of certainty teetering on the brink. "You can't put yourself in danger for me. We need to escape." My heart ached, torn between the man I loved and the need for truth. "Don't you see? They'll never stop coming after you. You need to trust me," the stranger urged, holding my gaze steady, desperately trying to pull me from the whirlwind. The depth of that moment settled like dust in the air, and as David positioned himself defiantly in front of me, a realization hit. This was more than just a battle of hearts, it was a fight for clarity shrouded in chaos. Listen! David shouted, risking everything to bridge that gap. You have to believe me. I admit I got tangled up in things I didn't understand. But you can get out of this. A shot rang out, a sound so stark and jarring it fractured every instinct within me. I turned just as the stranger pulled me away from the entrance. Beneath the bedlam, I heard David's voice emerge as if from underwater, battling against the tide of the world crashing down around us. They won't stop unless you fight, and just like that, everything tumbled upright and then turned on its head. I felt a sharp pain pierce my side as I stumbled back, spiraling into panic as the stranger caught me mid-fall. Stay close! They shouted, but the echoes of betrayal rang louder in my mind than the strident cries of the night. I looked back, my breath caught in my throat, uncertain of what lay ahead. David was enveloped in the swarm of pursuers, his fate uncertain, leaving me caught in a whirlwind where trust felt like a fragile whisper. The tapestry of my life had unraveled into threads of conflict, each moment threatening to pull me apart. And just as we turned to escape into the shadows, I felt an unmistakable squeeze on my arm, David's final plea, a haunting echo that lingered, carrying me toward a truth that felt maddeningly out of reach. Adrenaline drummed in my ears as we stumbled deeper into the maze of alleyways. The distant sounds of sirens echoed ominously, mixing with the pounding of my heart. Each step felt heavy with the weight of what I had left behind. David, the life we had, the twisted paths this night had taken. Breathe, the stranger, whose name I still didn't know, whispered. Their grip on my wrist tightened, grounding me in the midst of chaos. We need to keep moving. Where are we going? I panted, panic carving lines into my brow. I couldn't accept the possibility that I might never see David again, his earnest eyes wrapping around my heart even now. To a safe place, somewhere quiet, they urged, their tone softening just enough to allow a sliver of hope to pierce through the dark. I promise, and just like that, I was left teetering on a precipice of uncertainty. Anything could lie ahead, safety, or more peril, but I had no choice but to trust this person who seemed determined to protect me. But the thought of leaving David, unmoored and vulnerable, gnawed at my insides. As we turned a corner, I caught sight of a flickering light in the distance. There! I pointed, a wave of desperation sweeping over me. We could hide there. It looked like an old, run-down diner, the kind of place nobody visited after dark. The stranger nodded, leading me toward the entrance, yet I hesitated at the threshold, my heart racing in conflict. What if he comes after us? I asked, voice shaking. What if they find him, then we fight, they said, conviction dripped from every syllable. But first, we need to ensure you're safe. David will handle himself, he cares about you too much to let anything happen. With a final, hesitant glance down the alley, I stepped inside the diner. The bell above the door jingled hollowly, echoing the isolation I felt. The scent of stale coffee and greasy fries wrapped around me, a fleeting comfort in an otherwise unsettling atmosphere. I sank into a booth as the stranger slid in opposite me. What's your name? I finally asked, needing something to latch onto amidst the swirling confusion. It was a simple question, yet the answer loomed as large as the abyss. Ezra, they replied, their eyes steady, revealing traces of warmth that circulated beneath their sharp exterior. Ezra, I echoed softly, tasting the name, desperate for connection. Thank you for saving me, they shrugged, a flicker of a smile dancing on their lips. It's what I do. But their expression flickered, a weight settling within them, and I could see the burden they carried, a story I knew I would need to hear. I don't understand any of this, I admitted, frustration lacing through my words. David, he was different. I thought I swallowed hard, wrestling with my emotions. I thought he loved me, that we were building a future together. Now I see him as a stranger. Ezra leaned closer, their voice low and empathetic. Sometimes love isn't enough, circumstances can twist that bond until it's unrecognizable. David got caught in a web he couldn't escape from. They paused, their gaze searching mine. But Hez not your enemy, and neither am I. We need to unravel this mess before it consumes us. Sullen silence spilled into the booth, absorbing my fears and doubts, but around the edges, a glimmer of understanding began to take root. There's got to be a way to save him, to figure this out, I murmured, the thought dark and free of promise, yet it sparked a flicker of determination. Ezra nodded slowly. We gather information. We find out who they are and what they want from him. Then we can confront it head-on. There was a fire in their eyes, igniting a courage I hadn't felt since all of this began. As I opened my mouth to reply, a crashing sound from the door interrupted us, sending 1,000 electric currents racing through my veins. My body tensed, eyes wide, heart racing. I turned just in time to see a shadowy figure enter the diner, a familiar face framed by the flickering light. David. I gasped, the echo of his name caught in a tide of disbelief. His expression mirrored mine, a mingling of relief, anger, and despair skimming over his features. "What are you doing here?" he shouted, darting in our direction with an urgency that attested to the danger that lingered over him. "David!" I cried again, standing, impulse igniting my legs. I thought I lost you." My voice trembled like a fragile thread between us, powerful yet fraying. Ezra rose, instinctively placing themselves between us, eyes narrowed at David. "Stay back. You need to explain what's going on. Get away from her." David growled, his eyes ablaze with protectiveness. "You don't know who you're dealing with." In that suspended moment, the air crackled with tension, love and anger entwined in a delicate balance. It was a dance neither of us could escape, the past clashing with the present, shadows looming over our fragile attempts to connect. "Tell me the truth," I demanded, my voice cracking like glass. "What are you involved in? Why is my life now risking everything, everyone I care about?" As the diner filled with a deafening stillness, I realized I was about to receive answers that could irreversibly change the course of my life. David's gaze drifted away from me, whatever power he had been holding onto slipping through his fingers. The silence before the storm stretched unbearably. We were all suspended on the edge of something monumental, and the truth, no matter how painful, was gathering on the horizon. David rubbed the back of his neck, a sign of deep conflict dancing across his features. The diner seemed to shrink around us, the air thickening with unsaid words and fears. My heart hammered in my chest, caught between love and betrayal, wrestling for dominance. "Sarah, please," he began, voice low and strained. "You have to understand. I didn't want any of this to happen." I could feel the anger bubbling inside me, but it wove together with a rising sense of urgency. "Then tell me what's happening. Why were you talking to those people? What were they threatening you with?" His jaw clenched, and I could see the internal battle he faced, the weight of secrets he carried threatening to crush him. Ezra, still standing protectively at my side, exchanged a wary glance with David, their body language shouting unease. "Those people, they're not just anyone," David finally managed, his voice dropping into a whisper. "If you knew who I was dealing with, you wouldn't want to be anywhere near me." The admission sent shivers down my spine. "Then make me understand. I can't keep living in the dark while my life unravels." "I was trying to protect you, Sarah," he snapped, the rawness of his emotion spilling into the air between us. "They threatened me with everything I hold dear. I thought if I stayed away, if I severed ties." His voice broke, the weight of his decisions wrapping around him like a vice, "but all that did was put me in danger." I shouted, the adrenaline of the moment fueling my anger. "Now I don't know who to trust anymore." Ezra stepped forward slightly, their presence a grounding force. "You need to make a choice, David. Either you let her in on this, or you risk losing her completely. She deserves the truth, no matter how painful." David's eyes flickered to me and then back to Ezra, torn between the instinct to protect me and the need to lay his soul bare. "I didn't choose this life," he finally stated, his eyes locking onto mine with desperation. "I got involved with people who promised success and security, but it came with a cost. I thought I could navigate it safely, but I was wrong. They want something from me, and if I don't deliver, the realization crushed the air from my lungs. What do they want from you? What price have you been paying while I've been here, living in blissful ignorance?" Silence wrapped around us once again, a heavy blanket that stifled any hope of comfort. The determination in David's eyes had flickered, and for the first time, I saw fear, raw, unfiltered fear. "They want me to play their game, Sarah, and if I don't, they'll come after you. They think I can manipulate you into helping me." My heart sunk like a stone. "Help you? In what way? By putting myself in danger?" The betrayal stung more than I had anticipated. I felt the threads of trust unraveling, each stitch falling victim to the truth. I never would have asked you to, David insisted, desperation mingling with pain as he attempted to bridge the chasm forming between us. I just needed you to be safe. I thought if I distanced myself, if I kept you away, it didn't work. The roar of my voice shattered the fragile calm. I was scared, David. You left me without answers. You put me in a position where I had to run and hide, to find safety without you. You think that was protecting me? Ezra's hand brushed against my arm, a silent gesture offering solace, grounding me amidst the chaos. We need a plan, they said quietly, drawing my focus back to them. We need to understand who these people are and what they want from David. Yes, I agreed, the flicker of hope igniting just a little, driven by the desire to untangle this mess. We can figure this out together. I won't abandon you, David. His somber expression met mine, gratitude threading through the dark. But the moment was short-lived, the door flying open again, this time a gust of night air spilling inside. A man stepped in, clad in a dark suit, his face obscured under the brim of a wide hat. The silence in the diner shattered beneath the weight of his arrival, and the prickling sensation of danger draped itself around us like a shroud. The man surveyed the room, his eyes landing on David with an unsettling calm. Time's running out, David, he said coolly, the menace in his words curling through the air, chilling me to the bone. You've waited too long to comply. I suggest you make the right choices or I will handle things my way. We wouldn't want your secret, would we? The temperature in the room plummeted, hearts caught in throats, and I felt the realization hit. It was no longer just about David, this threat had ensnared us all. As the man stepped into the dim light, a feather of recognition brushed against my mind. I could swear I'd seen him before, lurking in the shadows of an unknown past that felt dangerously close. The pieces in the puzzle I thought I'd started to understand scattered once more, and we were standing on the brink, treading perilously close to an abyss with no way back. And then the realization struck, I was caught not only between two worlds but now two men whose lives were inexplicably intertwined, and I had no idea how to navigate the storm that was coming. The diner buzzed with a nervous energy, an electrifying current threading its way through the room, as the man's words hung in the air like a dark cloud looming over us. David stood frozen, caught in the throes of a dilemma that felt insurmountable, while fear coiled tightly within me, a fear I could no longer ignore. Who is he? My voice trembled as I cast a glance towards David, seeking reassurance in his stormy expression. What do they want from you? David shook his head, his eyes narrowing as he stepped forward, putting himself between the man and me. You need to leave now, it's not safe for you here. No. I protested, my heart racing. You can't just expect me to walk away when clearly there's a threat looming over us. The anger fumed beneath my skin, burning away the remnants of hope I clung to just moments before. Ezra, still beside me, murmured barely above a whisper, stay close. Whatever you do, don't break eye contact with David. Their command grounded me, lending a sliver of strength to my quivering resolve. The man in the dark suit took a step closer, his smirk unsettling my already frayed nerves. I don't believe we've been introduced, he drawled, his voice dripping with condescension. This must be the lovely Sarah I've heard about. Quite beautiful, but reckless all the same. You really should listen to David, sweetness. As he cornered us, David's posture shifted from defensive to desperate, his eyes pleading with mine, silently urging me to trust him. The weight in the room intensified as the man continued to inch forward, his words a sharp blade aimed at our vulnerabilities. Has already dug himself a deep hole, and I'm afraid it's time for him to pay his debts. Don't you want to know what that means for you? I swallowed hard, the knot in my stomach twisting tighter. What do you want? A sinister smile broke across his face. Ah, that's a question worth asking. But let me just say, David here owes me a significant amount. A debt that's not easily repaid among people like us. My instinct screamed out to run, but a more potent force held me in place. Curiosity mingled with dread. What does that mean for him? For us? Let's just say, sweet Sarah, that if he doesn't comply soon, I can assure you both will find yourselves in a situation much worse than a broken heart. My breath caught in my throat, a chill sweeping through me as I tried to gather my thoughts. "You can't threaten us," I managed, though my voice wavered, betraying the fear that threatened to consume me. "Oh, but darling, I'm merely stating facts. People like me don't take kindly to those who drag their feet." He shifted his gaze to Ezra, sizing them up with a cold, calculating glance. "I recommend you make yourself scarce while you still can." David's protective stance remained firm, a silent declaration that he wouldn't abandon me. But the tension was palpable, filling the diner with an uncertainty that seeped into our bones. "You're not a threat to us," he shot back, but his voice lacked the conviction I so desperately wanted to hear. The man's laugh rolled out, dark and chilling. "That's where you're wrong. I hold the cards, and I could make you lose everything, including her." The air trembled between us, raw with unspoken truths and looming danger. I couldn't help but notice how the realization seemed to break something in David's eyes, a flicker of despair clouding over the love I knew was still there. Then, in a moment that seemed like an eternity stretched thin, the man shifted his attention back to me. "You don't even know the half of it, do you? You're merely a pawn in a game much larger than yourself." As he said that, the clatter of silverware and the murmur of patrons in the background faded into nothingness. My pulse raced, realization dawning with horrifying clarity. "What are you saying?" Before he could respond, the diner door swung open once more, this time letting in a figure I had never expected to see: me mother, looking bewildered and out of place in the cozy diner atmosphere. She froze upon catching sight of us, her face morphing through a series of expressions ranging from concern to shock. "Sarah?" she called out, her voice resonating like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. The room shifted as the looming threat of the man in the dark suit faded slightly, overshadowed by the familiarity of my mother's presence. The man turned to face her, a glint of recognition flashing in his eyes. "Now this is unexpected." I felt an icy jolt of fear. "What do you mean?" But just then, David stepped further in front of me, and with a shaky determination, he announced loudly, "Whatever you think you know, you don't." The speed of our reality shifted once more, and as my mother stepped forward cautiously, seeming to sense the undercurrents of danger swirling around us, the man's smirk widened. "Oh, but I think I know exactly what it is you're trying to hide." And now, the game has changed. His eyes danced with the thrill of impending chaos as he cast a long, lingering glance between my mother and David. And at that moment, amid the fear and uncertainty, I felt the walls around me beginning to crumble, a tempest of unanswered questions rising to the surface. The depths of David's secret, my mother's involvement, and the enigmatic ties binding all of us together surged forward like a tide I was helpless to stem. Would we survive this? Or would my world unravel, revealing truths that were meant to remain buried? As I stood there, heart racing and emotion spiraling, I realized that this was just the beginning. The storm was gathering, and I had no idea the true extent of the shadows that loomed over us. The weight of the unknown pressed down on my chest, and I could only await the next strike that would forever change the course of everything I thought I understood. The atmosphere in the diner shifted, an undercurrent of fear intermingling with disbelief as my mother descended upon us, unknowingly stepping into a maelstrom of unspoken histories and secrets. My thoughts whirled frantically, trying to grasp the implications of her sudden appearance. How was she woven into this tapestry of tension and dread, Mom? I breathed, barely aware of the tightening grip of David's hand on mine. His warmth was a flicker of hope I clung to amid the encroaching darkness. "Stay back, Sarah!" David barked, his voice fierce yet edged with something softer, almost desperate. I could see the muscles in his jaw flexing, an urgency radiating from him that sent prickles of anxiety racing along my spine. The man in the suit regarded my mother with an unsettling curiosity, a slight tilt of his head betraying his enjoyment in our collective disarray. How charming, a family reunion right here in our private little theater. "Tell me, sweetheart, do you have any idea who your daughter is really involved with?" My mother's brow furrowed, confusion striking her features. "What are you talking about?" "Sarah, what's going on?" There was a pause, an electric charge hanging in the air, and I felt the weight of all my unshared truths pressing against my chest. Would it be right to expose David now, to drag him under the glare of this man's accusations, or would it just add fuel to his wicked flames? "Mom, just," I began, but my voice faltered, lost amid the tremor of my heart. "Sarah, please, just tell me. Is he threatening you?" Her gaze flickered to David, confusion metastasizing into worry. "What's going on here?" As if sensing the shift, the man in the suit smirked wider. "You really must investigate your daughter's life a little more thoroughly, darling. Secrets and debts can be quite the inconvenience, especially when they tend to come crashing in uninvited." David shot him a murderous glare. Don't you dare what?" The man interjected, raising an eyebrow in mock defiance. "This is merely an observation, my friend. A lesson in accountability and the far-reaching consequences of choices made in secrecy. My mother had taken a cautious step forward, closer to me. "David? Who is this? What does he want?" "Your mother doesn't belong here," David replied, his voice thick with urgency. "We need to leave now." But I felt rooted in place, caught between fear and the longing for clarity. "Why don't we let her in on the fun?" The man taunted, his gaze sharpening. "Why don't we tell her the truth, how David has been in way over his head for far too long? How this whole charade threatens to drag everyone down around him?" "Shut up!" I shouted, my heart racing, confusion boiling into a wave of anger that surged forth. "You have no idea what you're talking about." His laughter echoed in the diner, brutal and hollow, drowning out the low murmurs of other patrons who had started to notice the scene unfolding. It felt like we were under a spotlight, exposed and vulnerable. "Oh, but Sarah, I think I do. I've been watching this little game unfold from the sidelines, and I must say, the stakes have never been higher. Wouldn't you like to know just how deep your sweetheart's debts really go? Enough." I interjected fiercely, but I could feel the room closing in around me, the weight of revelation pressing against the back of my mind. "This isn't just about you, it's about us. Don't you see?" "Pathetic," he scoffed, brushing aside my words like leaves in the wind. "You're merely a pawn in a game much larger than yourself, sweet Sarah. And if I were you, I'd rethink the company I keep." My heart pounded, the realization of his words wrapping cold fingers around my throat. I turned to David, searching for the truth hidden behind his dark eyes, a truth I feared might shatter the fragile pieces of the life I knew. "David, please, you can tell me. Is it true?" For a moment, the world blurred into silence. David's face contorted, torn between 1,000 emotions too complex for words. Finally, he stepped forward, voice low and wrought with a heavy blend of despair and determination. "No, it's not true, Sarah. I promise I won't let him hurt you." But the man's laughter rang again, vile and mocking. "Promises are only worth as much as the man making them. What do you think you'll do next, David? Play the hero? We both know that won't end well." At that moment, hope felt as distant as the fading sunlight gathering outside the diner windows. I was seconds away from losing everything I had ever believed in, clinging to a threadbare illusion of choice amidst a flood of danger. As David's grip tightened around my hand, I drew in a breath to steady myself, ready to challenge the darkness that threatened us, when suddenly my mother whispered, "Sarah, there's something I need to tell you." And in that instant, as every breath seemed to hush the world around us, I realized that time was running out, and that the next words out of her mouth could open up a doorway I wasn't sure I was ready to walk through. What could she possibly say that would send us spiraling further into uncertainty? "Please, Mom, what is it?" I urged, heart hammering wildly, knowing our lives hinged on the precipice of her revelation. My mother took a deep breath, steadying herself against the wall as if the weight of her secrets had become too much. "Sarah, I didn't want you to find out this way. There are things about our family, about your father." Her voice faltered, her eyes darting to David, then back to me, an urgency etched into her features. A dull roar filled my ears, concealing the din of the diner as time seemed to stretch. "What about Dad? What do you mean?" I stepped closer, a surge of anxiety painting my thoughts with dread, my heart aching against her words. The man in the suit shifted, intrigued as if he could taste the unfolding drama. "Oh, this is delicious," he remarked, leaning back as if we were merely entertainment. My mother pressed on, "Your father was involved with people like him. Dangerous people. I did my best to get away from that world, to shield you from it, to make sure you never knew." There was a quiver in her voice that shook me to the core. I thought I succeeded. "But some debts, they never truly go away. What are you saying? You mean to tell me that this isn't all just about David?" I couldn't fathom the reality forming before me. It was like unearthing a forgotten grave in my heart. Every piece of clarity shattered against the backs of my eyes. "What debts?" The man's smirk widened, eyes shimmering maliciously as he toyed with our revelations. "She's right, Sarah. And do you want to know the twist? David isn't the only one tangled in this web." "No." I gasped, shaking my head as if denial alone could erase the truth gathering weight against me. "This can't be happening." My own voice felt foreign, trembling under the weight of understanding and fear. "He was trying to protect you, my love," David's voice broke through, raw and filled with a fierce intensity. His gaze, vibrant and imploring, was locked onto mine with a desperate sincerity. "But all of this, it started long before we ever met." "What do you know?" I demanded of him, feeling the edges of my comprehension fraying. "What gives you the right to keep secrets from me?" The world around us dimmed in the shadows of the man's derision. "Ah, yes. Such delightful chaos. Secrets may run deep, but the outcomes can be far more exhilarating." I turned back to my mother, searching her face for answers. "What did you get involved in? Why did you hide this from me?" "Samantha and I," she started hesitantly, "we tried to escape all of it, your father's dealings. He was in deep with a criminal organization back then. The kind of people who don't simply walk away. They own your soul until you've paid the price with something precious, something unthinkable. My heart sank. The truth felt like shards of glass carving through memories that should have been laced with warmth. "You knew, and you didn't tell me? Why didn't you just tell me the truth? It could have set me free from all of this, because knowing means bringing it back to life," she answered softly, regret etching lines across her forehead. "And I didn't want you to carry that weight. I thought silence would save you." The man chuckled. "That silence will be the very dagger that transforms your lives. You're all entangled now, family, love, debts, and soon, someone will pay the ultimate price." "No!" I shouted, anger surging in defense of my bruised heart. "I refuse to let it end like this. Whatever you want from us, we'll find a way out. We are not pawns in your little game. I will fight for my life, not let it be consumed by your shadows." David, reading the conviction rippling through me, stepped forward but kept that protective distance, as if trying to gauge the chaos swirling within me. "I need you to trust me, Sarah. I can fix this." The storm enveloping me roared, but one flickering flame of determination lulled within. How many lives had been upended because of choices? I could feel the shadows pressing around us, but invigorated by my truth, a strand of clarity tugged me forward. "You can fix this alone," I told him, voice shaking, but resolute. "We fix it together, all of us." The man in the dark suit sneered. How adorably naive. Families are often the first to fall apart when darkness sinks in, and trust? He chuckled darkly. "Trust is a commodity long lost among the storm. I won't let you destroy what's left of us." Even as the rush of defiance coursed through my veins, uncertainty sidled close. "So, what is it that you want from David?" I pressed the man, searching for any loophole to sneak through, any crack to exploit. "We call in the debts," he stated coolly, casually plopping his hands on the table like a game of cards about to begin in earnest. "What's left of your lives will bend to the will of those who don't appreciate the fragile beauty that exists here." He gestured between David and me, an unsettling jest in the air that was anything but humorous. My heartbeat quickened as I glanced nervously between my mother and David. "What if we refuse to play your game?" I asked, knowing full well how much of our freedom hung in the balance. "Then you will lose everything you cherish." The man leaned in, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper. "Including her," he pointed to my mother, his dark eyes glittering with malice. "Mom, I reached for her instinctively, but David grasped my hand tighter. No. His voice cracked, a flinch of panic flashing through his eyes. We can't let that happen. No more secrets. The challenge hung between us, thrumming with intensity, and I could feel the trembling ground beneath our feet shifting like a storm was brewing, ready to explode. I'll do what it takes, David replied, eyes blazing with determination. Even if that means facing everything on my own, we face it together. I countered fiercely, my voice ringing clear. Every dark corner, every unspoken truth, we untangle it now, as one. As the weight of my words hung in the air, there was a glimmer of resolve between us, an unbreakable thread drawn tighter by the flicker of hope entwined with fear. Silence descended upon us, pregnant with possibilities yet unformed. Family isn't merely blood, I told them both, aware of how vulnerable I had become in this moment. The man quirked an eyebrow, intrigued but resolute in his looming presence. Family, the ever-fallen grace. They often become your greatest liability. Will you really fight for that? I'm not fighting for family, I'm fighting for my life. I shot back, the fire within me roaring louder than the calm storm about to break. The man's expression morphed into something dark and inscrutable. Very well, he declared, smoothing a hand over his suit as if polishing an unseen prize. I will be watching. With those words, the air stilled, nearly suffocating. As if the world had held its breath with us. Then we will be ready, David replied, an unwavering conviction coating his voice as I felt the weight of our dawning partnership ignite like a wildfire. The man retreated, offering a mocking bow before he slipped back out through the diner's door into the darkness. As the door clicked shut, a fragile silence settled around us. The light of the diner dimmed as the shadows cast deeper into our bones, and for a long moment, the reality of our tangled lives settled around us like a storm cloud. Sarah, I'm so sorry, my mother started, her voice edged with sorrow and regret. No, it isn't your fault. Not entirely, I whispered, the depth of my thought tethered to the unfurling unknown. This is about us now, about finding our way through this darkness. I won't let you down again, David pledged, voice thick with emotion and sincerity, reflecting the layers of hidden turbulence. But uncertainty lingered beyond the bright neon glow of the diner, casting the uncertainty of our next steps into stark relief. In that charged atmosphere, I made a silent promise to myself, we would uncover our truths and emerge on the other side unbroken. And just as a wave of calm washed over us, I faced the thick walls of the unknown. The challenge ahead felt daunting, but like a candle flickering against the depths of night, I resolved to confront it with courage. Together, we'll face our demons, whatever they are, until we unearth the light, I vowed quietly, a declaration positioned against the shadows. In the solemnity that danced between us, an unbreakable thread of determination knit us together, one forged by love and resilience. The tangled fate we faced glittered with possibilities, ready to tear open the nightmares lurking around every corner, for the bonds we would forge going forward would be unlike any we had ever known.